Hello, hello. It is Chris Raquel, and I am back again with our 21 Days of Change. Today is day 14 of our 21 days, and that means that we are exercising daily as well as praying daily and making sure we have a relationship with God. So, for those of you who are saying, well, our eating windows from 12 to 10, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., so that means it's intermittent fasting. No, it's not, because when we're thinking of intermittent fasting, we're not incorporating a spiritual aspect. So just keep that in mind. Yes, when you're doing fasting, you're doing intermittent fasting as well. But when you're talking about fasting, regular fasting, there's always a spiritual aspect with it. If you're just calling it intermittent fasting, that means that the spiritual aspect is not there. So just keep that in mind. So I do have a topic for you all today. Normally, whenever I'm doing videos, I am addressing women like myself. So I noticed recently that I have some male followers who watch me consistently. So I wanted to first of all thank you all for watching me consistently. What YouTube does is it'll show me who's subscribing to me, and it'll also show me weekly specific people who are watching me. I might not know your name, but they might just show like a photo of whatever your profile photo is. They'll show me that you're consistently watching my video, or if you were part of the group that was watching my video that week, they'll show me. So thank you so much. I did see that there's a few men who are watching me. Mind you, I can't see everyone that's watching, but I think it just shows the people who are watching me the most. So thank you to everyone, males and women. I know when I started this channel, I was assuming that I was gonna either be talking to the general population or women. So I appreciate everyone who's watching. And looking at my subscribers, people might think, oh, well, she doesn't have a lot of subscribers. To me, it means so much, because I know as my channel grows, I know that the people who are subscribing are actually people who are interested in my topic. So I really appreciate it, because I know that those who are watching my videos, they have an interest in what I'm talking about. And a lot of what I'm talking about is related to bettering our lives, personal development, being happy with who you are. And as you all have probably realized by now, well, I'll backtrack. And don't forget, I will be doing hauls here and there. I know I owed you all one more Victoria's Secret haul, but for whatever reason, I never got around to doing that final one. But hey, since I do like shopping and things like that, I'm sure I will do other hauls in the future. So keep that in mind. But what I wanted to say is that I just appreciate everybody who's watching my channel. Thank you so much. So the topic for today, the reason why I brought up the thank you to the male followers is because this video kind of relates to men. When you're a Christian, as you all have gathered that I have Christian beliefs, you can't be a part of this bashing men movement or men bashing women. We need each other. Men and women need each other. You're supposed to pair with a man if you're somebody who wants to get married. That's a good pairing. There's no need for us to be fighting or making men as our enemy. Absolutely not. However, this video is for a topic that comes up a lot. A lot of times we hear, well, this is for ladies, warning ladies about a specific type of man. So a lot of times when we're dating, what happens is you end up meeting a man and they end up, for whatever reason, saying something about their previous partner. Ladies, watch out if a man is bad mouthing their last partner or one of their partners or the baby mother or the ex-wife, or calling her crazy. I say this because most of the time when a man is saying their last ex or one of their exes was crazy, that is just something fishy. That is not true. Most of the time what happened is the man did something to her or something happened. So, well, men who watch my videos, and if you're single, don't talk about your ex. Don't say anything bad, because usually it'll show that maybe that person is not healed. This goes for women as well. Like I said, I like to address women over men, but like that is not a good thing. And this goes for women as well. When I was dating, I tried my best not to say anything negative about my partners. I made sure that I was saying like, hey, if you all hear something, I have a neighbor who is very loud, okay? But my point is just that a lot of times when you start talking about your partner, it's not a good reflection on you, because first of all, how long were you with that partner? How long did it take for you to realize that this person was so crazy? This goes for women as well. Like, women will start talking about, like, yeah, my ex was so horrible. They did all these horrible things to me. They abused me, this. You need to just focus on the positive. I, for the most part, tried to speak positive about my previous partners. If there were ever any questions, there are going to be questions, and I do encourage you ladies to try to get some information about exes, not to the point where it's so invasive, but you know, while you're dating and passing, just ask questions. Obviously not on the first date, and I wouldn't say probably not on the second date, but you want to gather some information and gather some details about their past. And the same for men. It's okay to ask questions, but not to the point where you're like, okay, so who was your ex? What did he do? Why did you break up? Oh, okay, what else did they do to you? Like, not that type of thing where it's invasive. Like, this is something I think maybe men will do this more over women, like trying to question stuff so they could judge the lady. You know, men, that's not nice to do. So if you feel like you're trying to ask questions to judge her, you know, maybe rethink asking questions, just because, you know, when we have, obviously history can play a factor in who the person is, but if let's say you meet a lady and she has she's a born again Christian, she's been a Christian for the past 4 years, and then you're asking her all these questions about like her history, like 10 years ago, like, oh, you know, what were your relationships like 10 years ago? Okay, who was this man? Okay, why didn't that work out? It's kind of like part of it isn't relevant in terms of asking why didn't it work out. If she's a born again Christian now, you know, for the past 4 years, most likely she had some interesting relationships in the past. So keep that in mind. And you just want to make sure that you are, you know, being consistent in who you are. You want to make sure that you are being real with other people. But, you know, if they're asking questions about who you are and your past, don't be afraid to tell them, but you don't want to reveal too much. Don't want to reveal anything crazy. If you know you're a born again Christian in the past 4 years, you don't want to start telling him all your deep, dark secrets, because, yeah, I mean, and nobody is Jesus Christ, so they may slightly judge you. If you're okay with being judged about some horrible decisions that you might have made 10 years ago, then sure, tell them, but I don't recommend it. But more than anything, you know, if somebody's telling you, you know, my baby mama is crazy, my baby mama keeps those kids from me, I always give those things the side eye. And this is why, okay? Men are, you know, women are the weaker sex, right? And for the whole thing about yes, there's probably some occasions here and there where it actually happens, but for the most part, what I've seen is the whole, oh, keeping my children from me. Usually, and let's say that there's full custody, there's joint custody. That doesn't make sense, because there are laws and regulations in this world. And if you were both given joint custody, then if that woman is not allowing you to see your kids, you would then have to go back to the court and resolve that. Then if she continues to not allow you to see your children, then she will end up being thrown into jail, or she'll be arrested. Okay, so there are things that can assist you and help you. Just like, let's say someone isn't paying child support, they can eventually be put into jail for those things. So the whole keeping your children from you in the United States, there are so many ways to overcome that if that were the case. So let's say a child is 5 years old, and by the 18, you still haven't seen your child because the woman has been keeping the children from you. That doesn't make sense, and that's not going to fly, because as a man, you have responsibilities. Like I said, I don't like to address men usually, but this is more for women to understand that. Just think about how our court system works. So if a man is saying the woman keeps the kids from him, why hasn't he gone to court? Why hasn't he reported this? Because a lot of times, you know, women are the caregivers. So I'm just going to be honest. I mean, when all is said and done, most men would not want to have primary custody of the kids like women do. You know, women are the caregivers, so it comes in natural. It's kind of like crazy for a lot of women to even think like, what? Somebody's going to take primary custody over me? Oh, heck no, right? But men, it's a little bit different because they're not as nurturing. So a lot of them probably wouldn't even probably know what to do if they had primary custody of their kids. Some of them, right? Or some would just make do and, you know, try their best and support their kids if that happens. Like a lot of times women, there are some women who are not fit. And usually the courts are gonna allow the mother to have the kids unless she's in some sort of dire need and she doesn't have a home and things like that. So my point is, it's very hard for me to believe that a woman is keeping the kids away from the father if there's a joint custody situation, because in the United States, there are laws. If there's joint custody and a parent is violating that, if you go back to the court system and then they do it again, they will have to, you know, pay fines, or they'll be put in jail, or, you know, the judge will, you know, adjust whatever order potentially. And I'll be honest, there are some men, remember, they're not the caregivers, who would absolutely not want to have primary custody of their kids. So if a man is telling you that for 15 years their baby mama has kept their child away from them, or that mother has poisoned those children against him, and he has not been seeing his kids because the mother has kept those kids away from him, you need to understand that that is not true, because there are laws in the United States specifically, okay? So don't fall for that. Ladies, we have to be wise. And of course, this message is not for men who are taking care of their kids, men who are doing the right thing and fighting to make sure that they can see their kids. And also, I always say, if for whatever reason that woman is poisoning those children to not like their father, that is really only going to, a lot of times, I like to say always, a lot of times that's only going to be possible if the father is not seeing those children. If the father is making excuses saying, oh no, I can't see the kid. Oh, can you bring the kid to my house? So I can't meet you halfway. I can't come pick up my kids from your house. Oh no, I gotta skip these weekends. It's going to be very difficult for a mother to poison the kids against the father if the father's doing what they're supposed to do in terms of seeing the kids and providing for the kids. It's going to be very difficult for a child as they grow to not see that their father loves them and that they care for them, okay? So remember those things, ladies, that if a man is saying that their ex is crazy, it's a possibility that he did something to make her go crazy. Because I always say, it's one thing if the man says, you know, well, I didn't know her that well, you know, after a week of knowing her, she got pregnant. That should make you think of some other things about what kind of lifestyle he was living. But if he was in a relationship with this woman and then all of a sudden he just says she turned crazy, that's not likely. How many times have you been in a relationship with somebody who was just perfect, everything was going well, you were, you know, loving them, and then 3 years later they just turn psycho crazy? Not often, right? So just remember those things. Start to think to yourself, whatever he's saying about this woman, that's why I don't encourage anybody to speak negatively about their ex, even if their ex wasn't the best person, because part of it is you chose to be with that person. But then also you have to think to yourself, whatever this man is saying about his ex, saying she's psycho and crazy, this is what he does. This is how he behaves towards women. Or this is how he behaves when he's no longer with that person. Or if you see that he's not in his children's life, just know if you became impregnated, he will probably be treating you the same way and treating your children the same way. You can't think that because you like somebody that they're going to, you know, treat you so well, or that yours different than their history, right? So history is important. It is important to ask certain questions, you know, to find out about people's past, but not to judge them, right? Not to be like, well, you know, you did this, so okay. So judgment is kind of funny, right? So you should look at people's patterns, but I'm saying this because I feel like it's more important for women than men. I feel like it's important for men to know things like your family background. Like, did you have your parents in your life? What did your parents teach you? What's in your bloodline? Like, you know, are your parents, I guess, your in generations before you, is there a lot of marriage in your family? Like, is your family mainly single mothers? Things like that. And it's not to judge you, but with that it comes a lot of things. it'll come, like if you know a lady is from stability on all sides of her family, you'll see like, okay, like she's interested in marriage. All her parents and grandparents, great grandparents were married and they stayed married. Okay, like so she can handle certain things, and she's used to that. But if it's somebody who on all sides, it's all single mothers, that can probably let him know like, okay, there's not really any father figures in the bloodline. You know, that's things that he's gonna have to look at and decide, okay, like what has she done to, you know, heal herself and, you know, attempt to make change, things like that, right? And, you know, you have to look at those things with him as well. You know, with a man who doesn't have a father figure, that definitely comes with a lot of different things as well. You know, a man needs a man in his life, and that's one of the things that I think that really breaks my heart in our Black community, is the fact that there are so many absent fathers. And because there are so many absent fathers, it's very difficult for men to know how to take that leadership role in their household. And that makes me so sad. Like one of the things I always cry and like pray, not literally cry, but I cry out to God about is, Lord, like let my sons be good, upstanding sons, you know, just bless my marriage, because young men, they need their fathers in their life. So I also encourage you ladies to pray for those things as well, because it's a really, this video is not specifically for Black people, but you know, in our community, it's not, you know, there's a lot of absent fathers, and girls need their fathers, and so do men. So, you know, ladies would also want to look at that as well. If you are coming from a two-parent household, ladies, I would encourage you to look for a man who also comes from the same thing. Or if you have it in your heart, if you know you can overcome that battle with a man who maybe didn't have his father in his life, then that's okay. You know, God can give you the grace to handle that. But overall, if you know that's what your life has been, I would certainly encourage you to seek that, you know. Also, even ladies who only had one parent in their life, I would still encourage you to seek a partner and spouse who has had both parents in their life. And of course, it's not their fault. You know, it's never going to be that person's fault that they didn't have a parent. But if they didn't have both parents, you just want to kind of, you know, monitor them and see if that's something that person has overcome, or see if they're working on themselves. If they're working on themselves and they've been working on self-development, then sure, you can most likely go forward. But overall, and this is not a dig at anybody who did not have both parents in their life. It's absolutely not. But we know having both parents in your life is essential. It is important, you know. So, and I, you know, like I said, like you want to look at that person's history. Even in my history, on one side, one of my parents has a lot of marriage. On the other side, there's not marriage, you know, so much. So I have like a combination of it. But yeah, just because let's say you only had one parent in your life, that doesn't mean you can now get upset, right? Don't get upset at me and be like, I had one parent, well, and I'm fine, I have no issues. It's not a dig at anybody who only had one parent. It's just to say, in an ideal world, we will have both parents in our household. And no, I'm not talking about anybody who's had a parent and their parent passed away. Regardless, in an ideal world, the way it's designed is we're supposed to have both of our parents in the household. It teaches a different thing. That man teaches us discipline. That woman nurtures us. So it is good to have both. And you know, this is in no way, shape, or form saying don't date somebody who only had one parent, but I would encourage you to try to find somebody who has both. And of course, God can give you the grace to overcome those things. But back to the point of this video, my point is, be mindful of anybody saying that their ex is crazy, male or female, okay? Because most of the time they did something, you know, and especially on the men's end, because why did you pick a crazy lady? And for a woman, if she's just saying her exes were crazy, psycho, I think for her, that's more so she has some issues she needs to go through. She needs to deal with either in therapy, with a coach, with a pastor, because she's making these bad decisions and choosing people who are crazy. And for the man, I think most likely the lady wasn't crazy and he probably did something to her that caused her to react the way she did, because women overall, they try to please their partner. You know, but of course, if you're cheating on a woman and stuff like that, yeah, she probably could get a little crazy, right? So those are the two different scenarios. Ladies, it's most likely ignoring certain things about someone that are clearly showing that they would not be a good partner, and men, it's probably them covering something up in terms of the lady that they were with and how that relationship went. But yes, you know, just be mindful of what people are saying, because people are always going to say things, right? You want to look at what are they doing, what are their actions saying, what does their previous history show you. And I was saying, you don't want to judge people on things. And before I changed subjects, I was saying, men, yes, you can look at her history, look at her past, look at her grandparents, her parents, who were her examples growing up. And then ladies, you're going to want to look at how he treats the people around him. How does he treat his mom? Does he respect her? How does he treat his father? Does he respect his father in terms of his opinion? Did he have good role models? Was his father a good role model? And things like that. Yeah, it's very important just to, you know, look at what people are doing and not so much what they're saying. So hopefully this video has helped you, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye.